Okay, sit yourself onto your lift and go into a good cross leg position. Let's have a little wriggle about. Just make sure that you're feeling level. Hold onto your knees and lift up into the chest, elevating the heart area upwards and then drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Look down at the floor, look at something that isn't moving. Looking at the floor, keeping your eyes still in the sockets. Focus on drawing the breath in through the nose, filling the lungs from the bottom to the top, and emptying your lungs from the top to the bottom. Release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste, press the palms firmly together, lengthen from your armpits and into your elbows to make space in the chest. Focus on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. And with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. So spend a little time just observing how you are feeling this morning. Perhaps if you've woken up not long before you came online, perhaps you haven't given yourself much opportunity to really observe how the physical body is feeling. So spend a few moments just scanning the body, just observing how the physical body in the muscles and the skeleton and in the flesh and the organs and the skin, how the body is feeling from a physical perspective. If you identify an area that needs a little work, but let's say, try not to maintain your attention there too heavily. Draw your attention elsewhere into the body, into areas of freedom and problem-free. And then just acknowledge the perception of the problem diminishes a little. Focus on the breath. Aim to fill the lungs to their maximum capacity without pushing the breath. Just allow the breath to be, but allow the lungs to expand. Draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Just a moment of gratitude that brings positive energy into the heart area. So starting the day with gratitude is a positive way to start your day. Release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. Just connect the tip of the index finger with the tip of the thumb, just a gesture of wisdom and of physical intelligence. The ability to differentiate the problem areas from the freedom areas. The ability to feel gratitude physically in the heart area, and peacefulness, wisdom, intelligence and peacefulness that we can carry into our practice. And then raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Just hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest, elevate the heart area upwards, drawing your shoulders down. Take a deep inhalation in through the nose and then turn to the right. So starting the day with gratitude, I think it's really essential way to begin the day with a positive outlook. So we observe things in our life that bring us just even the most simple of pleasures. So it can be something physical or material, someone or somewhere. Just hold that area or that thing in your heart area and express thankfulness for it. And back to the center. Just hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest. And then turn to the left and think of something else in your life that brings you positive energy. It could be something in the room around you, or something in your memory or in the past. And express gratitude for that thing. And then come back to the center. Just take a few deep inhalations, deep exhalations, listening to the breath. Just filling the lungs with air. Expressing gratitude for the oxygen that we glean from every breath. So not holding the breath, just allowing the breath to flow into the body. It's the energy of the planet, which in turn is the energy of the universe. Feeding the physical body with positive energy. We need to just get around in the day. Just release, come off your seat bones, sit back on your heels. Just sit onto the heels, lift up into your chest, elevating your heart area upwards. And then gently come forwards, hinging at the hips, keeping the head lifted initially, wriggling into the heels, and then bring the forehead down to the floor. Just feel the stretch of the lower spine. Extend deeply into the arms, lengthening from the armpits. Lengthen from the armpits into the hips. Just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Stay with your head on the floor, and then bring your arms out to the side, out in line with your shoulders, pushing the arms into the floor. Keep the seat bones down, although it's harder, isn't it, to keep the seat bones down, but draw the tailbone down towards the heels. Push the arms firmly into the floor to take the weight away from your forehead. Keep your arms straight. And then bring your arms to the sides of the legs in the traditional child's pose. If it becomes too heavy on your head, then consciously extend from your shoulders into the fingertips, taking the pressure away from the forehead. So applying some gentle pressure to the forehead, allowing the forehead skin to kind of draw down towards the eyebrows, kind of ruffling around the eyebrows. It's a good way to quieten the brain. And then lengthen your arms away again. Lengthen your arms and feel the weight remove itself from the head, and the pose becomes more activated in the arms. Really work to extend from the arms. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Just come up onto your knees. Just look at your hands. Look at your hands and feel the skin of the palms in connection with the floor. So you're seeing the hands in 3 dimensions. In 4 dimensions, you're feeling the underside of the hand and looking at the hand. Turn your toes under, keep your attention in the palms of the hands, and then come up into dog down, or do baddangulyasana or supta konasana, whichever feels okay for you this morning. Listen to the breath. Just observe your body's response to the pose. So maybe there is some physical reluctance. Maybe there are areas that suddenly come to life because they're feeling some stretch, maybe at the backs of the legs. This morning for me, the backs of the knees feel like they really want to open. So you push the kneecaps through to the backs of the knees to aim to open up those areas of reluctance. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. And then step your feet forwards, come up into a standing position, and then align your feet with the edge of the mat. Some blocks for your hands for half uttanasana. Turn your toes in. So have the outside edge of your feet in line with the edge of your mat. Lift up into the chest. Elevate your heart area to the ceiling. Squeeze your elbows towards each other. Hinge at the hips. Keep the chin extending away so you can feel the skin of the neck stretch as you come forward, lengthening into the chin. Reach down and find the blocks underneath your hands. Push the fronts of the knees through to the backs of the knees. Lift the thigh muscle up. Turn the fronts of the thighs inwards. Lift up into the seat bones. Project the chin and the chest forwards. Lift the thigh muscle up towards the top of the leg. If you can come down a little lower, then do. Projecting the chin and the chest forwards, lifting the fronts of the thighs up towards the top of the leg, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards, broadening the backs of the thighs outwards, projecting the chin and the chest forwards. If you can reach down to the floor, then do, but just observe what your body is able to do. Observe whether you're doing the pose from the body or from the ego. Going down too soon. Projecting the chin and the chest forwards, drawing the shoulder blade region in towards the chest, lifting the sternum bone. If you can reach around the backs of your heels, drawing the upper body between the two legs. And then project the chin and the chest forwards. Bring your hands into your hips and then bend your knees on the way up if you need to, and then come up into a standing position. Just come into tadasana. Just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. Listening to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Activating the kneecaps and the thighs, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards, broadening the backs of the thighs outwards. Stretch your arms forwards, interlock the fingers right into the webbing of the hands, turn the palms all the way out, and then raise your arms over your head in baddangulyasana. Just observe where your weight goes into your feet. Does it go forwards towards the toes, or can you maintain your observation in your heels, drawing your heels, your weight of the body into the heels? Squeeze the outer elbows in, make the body long. Release the arms, swap the interlock of the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then raise your arms up. Squeezing the outer elbows in, lift your toes to sharpen the action of the legs. And then release, come back into tadasana, lifting up into the chest, keeping the toes lifted for a moment. Activating the legs deeply, tightening the kneecaps, drawing the fronts of the thighs inwards. Bring the toes back down, lift up into the chest, bring your arms out nice and wide, and then step or jump the feet nice and wide so that the feet are as wide apart as the wrists. Turn the left toes in, the right leg and foot all the way out, and then come over into trikonasana. Looking up. So you can't see the body, but can you feel it? Can you feel where the body is in 3 dimensions? Can you feel where the foot is, where the feet are? Can you feel where your head is in relation to the foot? Can you feel where your arms are in relation, the top arm is in relation to the bottom arm? Can you feel where the front leg buttock bone is in relation to the front heel? Try and align that front leg buttock bone with the heel. So you turn the thigh, squeeze that front leg buttock bone forward so it comes in line with the heel. That back leg, you turn it outwards a little and hit the leg towards the back of the room. So have a quick look. Down is your head where you thought it was. Are you collapsing your weight into that bottom hand, or can you stretch up to the arm that you can't see because you're looking down? Can you even out the weight of the upper body on the leg? Look up again. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And then gently come back to the center. If you can keep your arms outstretched, then do. If you need to rest them, then rest them. Just turn the left toes out, the right leg and foot all the way out, and then come over into trikonasana on the other side. Make those same observations. The head over the foot, even though you can't see the foot. Seat bones of that front leg. The activation of that back leg. The division of your weight between the 2 hands. Try not to collapse down into the floor. Down onto that shit. Lengthen from the feet into the hips, up into the spine, and out from the heart area into both arms evenly. Just look down. Is your head where you thought it was? As you look down, do you notice you're putting a lot of weight on you're dropping a lot of weight into that bottom arm? So even that out, look up again. And then come back to the center, bring the feet parallel, and then step or jump your feet back together, come back into tadasana. Just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Long, slow, deep, deliberate breaths. So we're going to come into uttanasana. You'll need some blocks probably, because although you might be able to reach the floor easily with the feet apart in uttanasana, but we're going to do this with the feet together. If you've got a bad back, you might want to just step your feet maybe hip width apart, turning your toes in. Otherwise, start with the feet together in tadasana. So lift up into the chest, elevate the heart area upwards. Just draw your attention to your feet and just observe where your weight is in your feet. your arms up. If you've got a bad back, then you can just bring your hands into the hips, winging the elbows towards each other, lifting up into the chest. And then hinge at the hips, keeping the head lifted, keep stretching the chin away, turning the fronts of the thighs consciously inwards, and then reaching down and finding the blocks, just bringing the blocks in line with your shoulders. So, with the feet together, this is considerably more challenging, isn't it? So just observe where your legs are activating. Can you tighten the kneecaps? Can you turn the fronts of the thighs? Turn the fronts of the thighs so that the heels start to separate. Keep the big toes together, but the heels start to separate. That gives you space in the seat bones to lift the seat bones away from the backs of the thighs. Now you might just stay at this higher level. If this high level is too low, then go on, use a chair or bring your hands onto the wall. If you've got a bad back, don't go too far. Don't go much further. If you can reach down a little more, then bring your hands down onto the lower level. But never at the expense of this. Never at the expense of just bending your knees and rounding your back. I was teaching a class in person the other day, and someone was kind of doing uttanasana like this, and I said, well, you just need to bring the blocks up higher, and they said, well, that feels like it's too high. And I was like, well, it's not too high because you can't keep your legs straight. So that was someone doing the pose with their ego. They wanted to go down lower, and they told themselves that the initial height was too high before they really understood what the height was there to do. So feel where your weight is in your feet. Hit the shins forwards, bring the weight into the toes. That allows you to lift the heels off the floor a little, and it allows you to turn the fronts of the legs more distinctly. When you turn the fronts of the legs, lift the seat bones up to the ceiling, and then hit the shins back so that you bring your weight into your heels. Extend upwards. If you can go down lower, then just go down lower really incrementally. If you can reach the floor, then do. But just feel what your body is doing today. If you can, you bring your fingertips in line with your fingernails. Bring the heels of the hands down. Keep the legs really straight and draw the body in. My back, that doesn't feel good today, so I'm just staying at a slightly higher lift, just extending the spine away from the legs. Okay, bring your hands into your hips, bend your knees on the way up if you need to, and then come up into a standing position. Just come back up into tadasana. Breathing even deep inhalations and exhalations. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Turn the palms all the way out, broadening the chest. And then come down onto your knees and bring your hands shoulder width apart. Step your feet back and then come up into dog down. So do uttanasana in your dog down. Activate your legs as you were doing in uttanasana. Activate your spine as you were doing in uttanasana. So, of course, the feet are hip width apart rather than together. But if you brought your feet together, how does that make your dog down feel? So bring your toes together so that it's like you're doing uttanasana. Turn the fronts of the shins inwards. You can physically see your heels starting to separate when you turn the fronts of the thighs, the fronts of the shins inwards. Lift up into the chest. So dog down with the feet together. Again, it just reduces the ability to lift in the seat bones. Bring the feet back, hip width apart, and then feel how much more space you have to lift the seat bones away from the backs of the thighs. So you can do supta baddangulyasana if you're not doing dog down, or don't do dandasana. Work in the legs and the chest and the arms in the same way as you were doing in dog down. So in dandasana you can raise your arms over your head. Just observe how that makes you feel. Bring the arms down if it doesn't feel good. And then just come down onto your knees if you're in dog down. And then sit back on your heels. Just observe your physical body. Observe the energy that has filled the limbs to literally to overflowing. Sometimes after doing dog down or doing our first standing poses of the day, the body feels like, do you remember that Ready Breck advert in the 80s? Looked a bit radioactive. Probably not a great way to start the day, in fairness, irradiating yourself. But that feeling of that glow of warmth around the skin. We're not radiating outwards, we're just maintaining, we're holding on to our energy. Bring your knees apart a little if they're close together, and then come forwards again into virasana. Just breathing, bringing the head down. I mean, of course we're breathing, but breathing with consciousness. In Adho Mukha Virasana, try to breathe into the armpit chest. Try to consciously extend into the armpit chest with the breath. And then push your hands into the floor, and then just sit back on your heels, lifting up into the chest. Just breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. And then come down onto your back into supta baddangulyasana. So if you feel up for it, you can do a headstand at this stage, but supta baddangulyasana just re-grounds the body. So if you're feeling extra energetic, then, and you know, you can go up into a headstand, do a headstand. Otherwise, just use supta baddangulyasana just to connect the body to the floor. Turn the tailbone in, broaden the abdomen into the abdominal walls. Just feel that you're broadening out from the belly button into those abdominal walls. Use blocks underneath your hands underneath your hips if you've got stiffness in your hips. Or not underneath your hips, underneath your thighs. So blocks underneath the thighs, just to support the hips if needed. Just allow the body to make good contact with the floor. Just grounding your energy. Stretch your arms up to the ceiling, interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, squeeze the palms to the ceiling, squeeze the outer elbows in, and then lengthen your arms along the floor. If there's stiffness in your shoulders, you can bring your hands onto a folded blanket or onto a block. Otherwise, just stay along the floor, just listen to the breath. Raise your arms up and then swap the interlock of the fingers, turn the palms all the way out and then extend your arms along the floor. And then release your arms, just release your hands onto the ribs. Just rest into the floor for a moment. Just letting the hips open, using gravity to release the hips. And then gently draw your knees together, have your knees together and your feet apart for a moment. Just letting the hips recover. And then just straighten your legs out along the mat. Just have a quick look, lift the head, just make sure you're in a good straight line. So we're going to do urdhva, prasarita, padasana. So you're going to raise your arms up, but hook the thumbs together, or you can use a belt and just hold onto the belt. And then you raise your arms and you lengthen your arms along the floor. And then you hook the thumbs together and you try and pull the hands apart. So that's the first stage. So interlock the thumbs, or if that doesn't work for you, to get hold of a belt and pull on the belt, that shoulder width apart, and then try and splay the palms apart. So you feel that you open up in those side ribs in the latissimus dorsi region. So we're going to raise the legs to 12 o'clock. If there's any reason why you don't want to bring the body above the head, then you just stay lengthening along the floor, just feeling that openness of the latissimus dorsi. If you've got a bad back, you bend your knees to bring the legs up. Otherwise, you bring the legs up straight. So bend your knees or bring the legs up straight and bring the legs to 12 o'clock. So when the legs are up in the air, if you struggle to lift your legs at this stage, if you struggle to bring your legs to 12 o'clock, then put a block underneath the sacrum spine, and it will be easier to lift your legs. So don't lose the arms. Once you've lifted the legs, don't lose the arms. So if you were pulling the thumbs apart, then you really open up in the lats. So keep those arms really working firmly. Keep the legs extending up towards the ceiling. Urdhva, prasarita, padasana. And then to bring the legs down, bend the knees, or you can bring them down straight if you don't have a problem with your back, and then stretch your legs away. And then release your arms, just bring your hands onto your lower ribs, let the feet fall apart for a moment, just feel all of that energy in the shoulders and in the upper body. Just let the lower body relax into the floor. So breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So we can do that one more time. but we'll just relax for a moment, just let the body relax. So do tadasana along the floor with the legs. Have the inner edge of the feet together, turn the thighs inwards, stretch your arms up, hook the thumbs, but hook them the other way around this time. So hook the thumbs, but if you're not sure, just do it without thinking and then swap the way that you hook the thumbs. Lengthen the arms away. Bend your knees or bring the legs up straight to 12 o'clock and then lengthen the legs up to the ceiling. Breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. So this is a gentle inversion, but if you keep the upper body activated really deeply, you really open up in the shoulders, in the side ribs. Breathe into those armpit chests. Okay, and then either bring the legs down straight or bend the knees and bring the legs back down. Stretch the legs away momentarily. Keep the hands and thumbs interlocked. Try and splay the arms apart. And then gently release. Just let the feet fall apart for a moment. Just bring your hands onto your lower ribs. Just take some deep inhalations and exhalations. So a lot of work in the upper body. Bend your knees, just have a little rock, pull the knees into the chest, have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, and then just roll onto your side, onto your right side, straighten out the top leg, and then come up into a seated position, just coming up into cross legs. So hold onto your knees, just feel, now that the body is upright again, just feel how the body feels in the shoulders and in the chest and in the arms. Just close your eyes for a moment, focus on the breath. Draw the chin forwards down to meet the chest. Jalandhara bandha, raise the anal sphincter up to the diaphragm region from mula bandha. And just focus on filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. Just spending a few moments observing the physical body and acknowledging something new in your life that brings you positive energy, however seemingly insignificant. It could be the smell of coffee in the morning. It could be your favourite song or the feeling of the skin underneath the sun. Just something that brings positive energy. And express thanks. And move on to something else. Holding that energy in the heart. And express thanks and gratitude. Holding that area, that feeling of positive energy in the heart area, and then moving on to something else. Something for which you were thankful. express gratitude and something else. Holding that positive energy in the heart area, and again expressing gratitude, thinking of something else that brings positive energy into your existence. Holding that feeling of positivity in the heart area, moving on to something else. Holding that feeling of positivity in the heart area, and then express gratitude for all of that positive energy you're holding in your heart area. And then raise Mula Bandha, release Jalandhara Bandha, raise the head, elevate the heart area to the ceiling, draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right, drawing your abdomen across and your ribs, just feeling that sensation of positive energy in the heart area. So it can be easy to dwell on the things that we don't have, but not so easy to dwell on the things that we do. Back to the center, just hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest, elevating the heart area upwards. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the left. So even if we don't feel like we've got everything that we should have, it doesn't really matter, because we have some things, and those things bring us positive energy, and that's all we need in life. Just acknowledgement and gratitude for the simple things. So maybe as you go about your day, think about those things that you take for granted. Maybe you have some good coffee. Just express gratitude for having that. Maybe you hear a song that you love. Just express gratitude for it. Maybe you go outside and the sun is shining and it feels good on the skin and in the lungs. Just express gratitude for the things in life that feel simple yet deeply important. Come back to the center, and then just for the last couple of minutes, have a blanket up underneath your head. Lay yourself down in a good straight line. And then make sure you're in a good straight line, and then allow the body to relax. Just let the physical body consciously release. Long, slow, deep, deliberate breaths. Let the body become heavy on the ground. And just acknowledge that out of that heaviness comes a perceivable energy that radiates from the bones and into the muscles and into the organs. Into the flesh and the skin. Basking in that feeling of energetic lightness. Just wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, just bring yourself back into this pose of Shavasana, and then bring your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just gentle massage on the spine. And then gently roll over onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Just a final cross legs with your hands in the masti, just a final spinal lift. Drawing your breath in through your nose, down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice. A good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created around the heart area. And send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then gently release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. So hopefully you feel as though you've really lifted your positive energy and given yourself lots of good energy to put into your day. So thank you very much for joining me.